New at 6, in 1944, a huge explosion rocked the East Bay when two munition ships blew up while being loaded. It led to the largest mass trial for mutiny in military history.
But as KPIX5's John Ramos reports, an effort is gaining steam to exonerate the sailors convicted after the disaster.
The explosion at Port Chicago was so loud it could be heard in San Francisco, but what happened afterwards could be heard across the country, and it's still echoing today. In 1944, Port Chicago used segregated all-black units to load munitions aboard ships. On July 17th, something went wrong, and two ships loaded with 5,000 tons of explosives blew up, destroying the base and much of the nearby town. 320 sailors died, but one who survived, Maurice Soublé, later told his son about the conditions at the base.
He said, we were never trained to load ammunition. It was something that we had to learn on our own, so we improvised.
Immediately following the disaster, the surviving sailors were sent to Vallejo to resume their jobs, but 50 refused to work without proper training. The so-called Port Chicago 50 were tried and convicted, not for refusing an order, but for mutiny. Jason Felibret is the nephew of one of the sailors killed in the blast and a former Air Force paralegal. He says the trial was a sham, tainted by racism, and would never happen today.
If you are given an order that is unlawful, you are not required to follow it. And in this particular case, I believe the direction for them to continue loading munitions without any training, was tantamount to an unlawful order.
But last week, the House of Representatives passed a bill that contains a resolution asking the U.S. Navy to fully exonerate the convicted sailors. It was sponsored by Congress members Mark DeSaulnier and Barbara Lee.
This is just saying the obvious, that the United States Congress exonerates these now all deceased American sailors for the crime that they were convicted of mutiny.
After the war, the sailors' sentences were all commuted, and one was later given a full pardon. But the families of the men who had to deal with the shame say that's not enough. A full exoneration would clear their records, not just say they're guilty, but we forgive them.
This is a public acknowledgement of racism during World War II and an event that would later trigger the desegregation of the military. You don't move forward by forgetting. You move forward by recognizing the sins of the past and looking to correct those in the future.
In the East Bay, John Ramos, KPIX5.
Congressman DeSaulnier says this is actually the fourth time he's introduced the bill and the second time it's passed the House. It's been defeated in the Senate before, but he says he senses that the effort is gaining some support.